I still hear their cries at night. 3 voices, broken by regret. 3 sisters, once proud, now filled with sorrow. If you listen closely, you might hear them too. It all happened years ago in the kingdom of Ith. I was just a servant then, a boy sweeping the palace floors, running errands, watching and listening. I saw things no one else noticed. I knew secrets that no one else spoke of. And I saw the day everything changed forever. The king, our great ruler, had 4 daughters. 3 were slim and beautiful, the kind of women who made heads turn wherever they went. Their skin was smooth, their eyes sharp, and they carried themselves like they were above everyone. They loved attention, moving through the village with grace, smiling at the men who adored them, ignoring the women who envied them. Then there was Obanewa. She was beautiful too, but she was different. She was big, not just big, larger than any woman in the village. Because of this, people avoided her. They whispered behind her back, laughed when they thought she couldn't hear. She never walked through the village like her sisters. Instead, she stayed in the palace, quiet and alone, sometimes by her father's side. The king loved all his daughters, but I always noticed how he looked at Obanewa, not with pity, but with something else, something deeper. Then came the day that changed everything. The day of the king's death. The sky turned dark that morning. Heavy clouds hung low as if the world itself knew what was coming. The air was thick, heavy with silence. Inside the palace, the king lay in his bed, his body weak, his breathing slow. His time had come. He called for his daughters. His voice was weak, but the order was clear. "Bring them to me," he whispered. Obanewa was already there, kneeling beside him, holding his hand. Tears filled her eyes, but she stayed strong. I ran with the palace guards to find the other 3 sisters. We searched the palace, empty. We searched the village, and there they were, dressed in fine clothes, laughing, enjoying the admiration of the villagers. A group of young men stood around them, hanging onto their every word. They had not noticed the dark sky. They had not heard the drums of mourning. One of the guards called out, "Your father is dying! Come quickly!" They barely looked at us. "We will come soon," one of them said, adjusting the golden beads on her wrist. The guards pleaded, but they waved us away. They were too busy, too distracted, too sure that time would wait for them, but time does not wait. The blessing that changed everything inside the palace. The king's breath was fading. His eyes, once strong and full of wisdom, searched the room. He asked again, "Where are my daughters?" Obanewa bowed her head. "Father, I am here." The king sighed. He knew they would not come. He placed his trembling hand on Obanewa's head. His voice, weak but certain, spoke the sacred words, "Then you shall have my blessing." And with those words, he passed the throne to her. And then the great king was gone. Too late. The 3 slim sisters arrived minutes later. They rushed into the palace, their faces pale, their eyes wide with panic. But it was too late. Their father was gone. And there stood Obanewa, wearing the royal beads of succession. She was queen now. I will never forget the way they screamed, the way their faces twisted in horror, the way they grabbed at their own arms as if trying to wake themselves from a nightmare. But it was not a nightmare. It was real, and nothing could change it. A queen like no other. The sisters thought the kingdom would fall apart under Obanewa's rule. They thought she was too soft, too weak, too different. They were wrong. Queen Obanewa ruled with wisdom, kindness, and strength. She walked among the villagers, listening to their problems. When a famine came, she ordered that no one, rich or poor, should go hungry. When rival villages threatened war, she spoke to their leaders and brought peace. When corrupt chiefs stole from the people, she removed them without fear. And the people loved her. The kingdom thrived, and her 3 sisters they watched from the shadows, the weight of regret. At first, they were angry. How could their father have chosen Obanewa? How could she, a woman they ignored all their lives, become queen? But as time passed, their anger turned into something else, regret. They saw how the people adored Obanewa, how they bowed before her, how they cheered her name. They saw the wisdom in her eyes, the strength in her voice, and they knew they had lost everything. They had chosen vanity over duty, pride over love. Now they were nothing. And at night, when the palace was quiet, I would sometimes hear them whispering to each other, "We should have been there. We should have listened. We lost everything." But regret does not change the past, and the past never forgets.